Hello, MVF family. My name is Aaron Green, and I'm one of the elders here at Mountain View. And we're going to talk with Mike today a little bit, the growth pastor, just about all the things that have been happening at MVF from the beginning of the year to how COVID-19 has changed the landscape for 2020.
Sure.
So, Mike, thanks for taking some time to sit down and talk with us and tell us all that you've got going on.
Sure, I'd be glad to.
Yeah. So, quick background in history.
Okay.
How long have you been in Colorado?
Well, we moved here in January of 2018, although I lived here when I was a kid, and my parents grew up in Brush, Colorado.
Okay.
And actually part of my family homesteaded in the 1890s about 30 miles east of here.
So that was your attraction to Colorado?
It was kind of coming back to family and everything.
Because I thought this was cold turkey.
Oh, no. No, actually, I grew up in New Mexico.
Okay.
And so, I mean, that's where I'd call kind of home growing up. And
Okay.
so coming back this way is what we wanted to do. Before, we lived in Vermont. That's kind of where I switched from engineering to ministry, and then eventually God called us here.
And the change of trees and landscape, your family?
Yeah, we're getting used to it, you know.
Okay.
Back in Vermont, the house that we were living in, 3 acres, but completely forested.
Yeah.
I had about an acre or so of grass, and everything else was trees, and we'd have big windstorms and would lose like 15, 16 trees, but you couldn't tell. And, you know, we're in the process of building a home right now, pretty close to the church. And we went from 0 trees to 1 last year. As we started the building, we planted a tree, and then we planted 107 sticks a couple weekends ago.
And see what happens.
We're going to see what happens.
See what happens. Out here, we call that a windbreak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a little
Not
wind
yet.
right now.
Yeah, not yet, but it's coming.
But eventually.
But it's
Yeah,
coming.
for sure.
Yeah. So, a little over 2 years into your time in Colorado and here at Mountain View,
Yep.
your New Year's resolutions on January 1st, 2020. Oh. You woke up and you thought 2020 looks like...
It looks great, you know. From a personal standpoint, again, I mentioned we're working on a home, and so our goal was to be in that house by Easter, but I kind of had a few delays because of ministry and everything, and then COVID hit, so we're still not in it. We're still working on it.
All right.
Eventually. I'm hoping maybe by the end of May, but that's going to take like some pretty tremendous stuff to get there.
That's not far away.
I know. My wife reminds me of that.
Okay.
Yeah, for
All
sure.
right. All right.
Yep. But, you know, ministry-wise, we had a couple things we wanted to do this year. We wanted to launch some new life groups. We have wanted to start some, I call them kind of phase of life ministries. The first one was what we were calling our 20-somethings, and we had just started that, and that was just a group of folks in their 20s getting together once a month, just kind of fellowshipping and starting to do life together a little bit. And of course, that's been all put on hold, and with the other ones that we were hoping to launch. So that's kind of we're gonna have to wait and see.
At our previous church, that's where I met my wife, was in a 30-somethings.
Okay, there
group.
you go.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
So.
And then you know, other things that we had hoped for was one big thing was something called intersections, which is still kind of going on. Haven't really gotten it started yet, but the thought is encouraging people to be able to tell their stories of how God has intersected with their life and how their life direction changed because of it.
Yeah.
And of course, salvation is one of those big intersection stories, but there can be other ones along the way. You know?
Yeah.
And again, that's kind of shifted because of everything we're doing instead.
Yeah. A quick one.
Yeah.
When I said I met my wife at 30-somethings, right? And we both moved to Colorado. She moved from Venezuela. She was married and living in Venezuela. And I was living in Missouri. We both moved to Colorado in 2003, right? No idea. Never met each other before. I grew up in Kansas. She grew up in Arizona.
Okay.
Met her in 2008 at a 30-somethings event at church. And somebody asked me, you know, there was a big intersection in my life, right? Where God, and we got to talking about if you knew all the things that God had planned for you, right? And how would you handle if in 2003 God had said, your wife lives in Venezuela and she's currently married, and you're gonna meet her in 2008? How would you handle that intersection?
Right,
How would you handle
right.
that moment? You know, and It's an interesting thing to think back in your life.
Oh, sure. And I know right now we're in one of those times, right? I mean,
Yeah.
2020, this whole thing, we call it unprecedented because it hasn't happened in our lifetime, even though like the Spanish flu in 1918 and all that. But yeah, there's going to be sometimes people are going to look back and go, wow, that was a formative moment. And I just don't know what we're formating to, you know?
Right. And so now today your goals for 2020, to make it?
To make it like everybody else, for sure. Trying to figure out what this does for ministry and how we can change things. You know, one of the goals I had was to increase our prayer ministry. Mm-hmm. And I thought, hey, we'll just kind of make sure we do it every other month and we're good. You know, God has totally changed that and put that plan on steroids. I mean, we're between our almost nightly texts that go out and then you know, the weekly prayer nights that we're doing, the drive-in nights.
Yeah.
You know, it's starting to grow quite a bit. So right now, I don't know. I'm just kind of trying to listen to what the Spirit is saying and what the needs of the community are. We've been having some conversations in staff meetings about mental health issues that people are starting to deal with. And that's going to grow and increase. And so we're going to have to figure out how to do that. And right now, you know, my role, growth pastor, not growing in terms of numbers, but growing in terms of depth in our relationship with Christ. But right now, as a staff, you know, our titles don't really mean a lot. It's just about how can we help our community, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of what our title says, you know, each of us are jumping in different ways. So.
And that is your official title, growth pastor.
That's my official title.
That's your official title. So how have you, in what tangible ways, maybe not like you had referenced in terms of number of life groups, those kinds of things, but how have you seen the church grow during this time?
You know, there's been a couple things that I've seen happen over the last month or two. I think that people are actually getting into God's Word a little bit more right now. And the reason I say that is one of the things I love about my job is getting questions. People will text me, they'll send me an email, they'll use any of our different texting methods or whatever, and I'll get these questions about things that people are reading. And they're not just small little questions. A lot of times, sometimes they're pretty deep and heavy. But I love that, and I really enjoy that also because it reminds me that, you know, the gospel, sometimes we make it too complicated.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple, you know. We all screw up. We need forgiveness.
Love God, love your neighbor.
Yeah, exactly. And
Jesus,
Jesus
through
took
these
care
two
of it,
things,
you know?
you fulfilled all the law.
Right, you got it. You got it. So
Yep.
it is pretty simple, but that's one of the things. And so the number of questions that has been coming up has been growing.
Yeah. There's two groups going on here at Mountain View right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's I'm gonna butcher the names, I think, but there's the Midian group, right? And that's kind of the crisis management. What are we doing on a daily, weekly basis during this time when we can't meet?
Right.
And then there's the homecoming team. That, what does it look like when we're back in the building?
I think or teams are kind of vice versa, but yeah, I'm on the one we're looking at the situation right now.
Okay.
And kind of trying to keep up with what the local authorities are saying we can do and what we can't. And from that, trying to look into, I called it the crystal ball, which is very hazy, of what does it look like? When can we start doing what we call regular ministry, or at least Sunday mornings and some of our other groups and gatherings and things. And it's a challenge because we all want to get going, but we also want to make sure that we're respecting authority the best we can, and we're protecting people.
Yeah.
And I know people want to get back in the building quickly and get into, you know, just normal Sunday stuff and everything. And it may be a little bit longer than we want it to be. I'm
of the group, let's meet Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm over it. And, you know, let's get in. And I'm a small business owner in multiple facets, and what this is doing to the economy, what this is doing, you know, you talked about mental health, and even as good as I think mine is, you know, I've noticed in the last couple of weeks, it's crept up on me. the stress, the tension, the pressure,
Absolutely. Yeah.
a lot of things, loss of close people in your life
Yep.
during this time, even though you think you may not be struggling in that department, right? It's creeping up on you.
Definitely.
And we had an elder training this Saturday, and it kind of came up about mental health and about respecting the authority of where we are right now. And it's hard to marry that with, okay, this country rebelled against the authority that it was under. That's how it was
Sure.
started.
Sure.
And so,
Yeah,
there's,
right.
there's all of these things over conflict over time of, wow, it seemed to work out pretty well for us back then in
Yep.
1776.
Yep.
Maybe we
Let's
should think about that
just do it
again.
again.
Let's just do that again.
Yeah.
Let's meet on Sunday, and I'll be the first one in the doors.
Sure.
Is kind of my
Sure.
thought process, but it's an interesting balance to respect
Definitely.
where we are today.
And the thing is, the authorities, they're guessing as much as we are,
Yeah.
right? Everybody's trying to learn what this thing looks like and trying to make wise decisions that nobody's going to be happy with no matter what direction you go, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like you. I really want to be back, but I don't know what that being back is going to look like for a while.
Yeah.
So we be creative. We keep trying new things and expand what we can do. I mean, like the drive-in prayer nights, those were kind of born out of wanting to do something together and not sure what it would look like, and we just started it, right? And
Yeah.
now, this next week, it'll be our 5th one. So, I mean, we're coming along pretty fast on those.
Yeah. And it's grown every week.
Yeah,
Or-
it's grown. It's held its own at least. We keep seeing new people each time. Our hope is that we'll have a great night at some point. The weather keeps conspiring against us with
Right.
a lot of wind, and so we're hoping that we'll have a good night that people can at least get out of their cars, wave at each other, smile, see each other, that sort of thing. But we'll get there.
The hardest part of any project is starting, and to be in your 5th one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's at this point,
It's-
it's moving along.
Yeah. So the life groups that we had going on,
Mm-hmm.
the people that were out there,
Yep.
how have you seen them respond?
Most of the life groups are still going on right now, using Zoom. There have been a couple that have done some things like using the cross here on the property and kind of hanging out together and stuff that way. Like I said, most of them are using Zoom. A lot of them are trying to also reach out in their community, and a couple of them have been really great about finding out their neighbors who are in need, and then the whole life group is helping respond to some of those needs,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. So those are good. The thing that I'm kind of most, I guess maybe concerned about, maybe a little even frustrated about, is we actually have 3 couples that want to leave life groups right now. They're ready to go, but they don't have anybody to join. And some of you have put in that you're interested in life groups, and we've tried to contact, and it's been difficult maybe finding the right night or whatever. But just wanted to let you know, we got 3 groups that are ready to go if we can find people wanting to jump in. And I know it would be incredibly awkward to meet people for the first time on a Zoom call,
Maybe not.
depending on how long we wait, I guess.
Well, first of all, Zoom, who would have thought that was the tool that
Oh,
it is?
Definitely, yeah.
Almost everything is done
At Zoom,
Zoom
at this
today,
point.
and a meeting, I had a phone call today, and we talked about scheduling a meeting, and we could sure do it by Zoom if everybody's more comfortable with that, right? Like
Sure,
10 weeks ago,
yeah.
that wasn't a conversation.
No, not at all. I've had 2 conference calls with our ministry partners in Haiti
Yeah.
since this started, and I've used Zoom.
Zoom worldwide.
And that would never have been even a
Yeah.
thought process, a couple months ago. So
Lady who works for me, Heather, and what I've seen families, more people are in Zoom meetings with their family and grandparents that are, clear across the country.
yeah,
and
absolutely.
And my brother had a birthday a few days ago, and we set up a Zoom meeting to sing happy birthday.
Yep.
Now, I think I'm 47, so that would make him 45.
What a
we-
strange turn.
we would call him on his birthday, but we would never get on a FaceTime or a Zoom meeting to sing happy birthday. We've been separated for years
Sure.
after college. But families are reaching and making that effort now.
You know, Zoom, MOPS converted to Zoom, Life Recovery converted to Zoom for a while. I know some life groups that use Zoom, and then like one of them, the ladies of the life group do a Zoom call during the week, where normally they would get together. So I mean, it's all over right now.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And we've been, I'm about to finish up the latest group going through our expedition class, 11 weeks long, and this will be the 10th out of 11 that we had to do Zoom on, right? And
Wow, that just
it's actually
started
been good.
when this hit.
Yeah, we were just starting, so.
Yeah. Of all the changes you've seen in life groups, and you just mentioned that there's 3 ready to start. Meeting on Zoom might be less threatening.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I
Sorry, I lost
to
internet
direct.
connection, and you just hit in meeting,
And
right?
you just, oh man,
I don't know what happened.
you just gave everybody a game plan, didn't you?
Yeah.
Nice.
So maybe it could be like, I don't know, my internet is bad. But of all the changes and of all the things that you've seen groups doing, what would you hope would last?
Even thinking about Zoom, even though it's a little bit clunky and it's not the same as being together, something that life groups go through is periodically there'll be a period where everybody is sick or just not able to do stuff, and they'll just not meet for a while. And yet Zoom would allow us to be able to long-term do it. A stormy night, hey, let's just do Zoom. And so hopefully it'll allow life groups to actually continue to bond and grow together during normal times a little bit more.
Summer schedules, vacations.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? All of that stuff.
Hey, let's just get together, short 40-minute call.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I've heard from the life groups and have seen is that they tend to be a little shorter, the evenings, just because, when you're normally together, you spend the first 45 minutes just yakking, which is awesome because you need that for a relationship. But, if you want to do an abbreviated one and do Zoom, that'd be a great way to do it.
So you've taken on some new stuff in the midst of this.
A couple of new things, yeah.
New things are incredibly hard if you've not ever experienced trying to start something new and from the beginning, and it's outside of the norm, and you've got daily prayers going out. You've got evening or early morning 7:30 scripture,
right?
Evening prayers. You've got the drive-in prayer.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of new things that are incredibly hard and a lot of work. And I think you're involved somewhat in the technology side of this.
A little bit.
And all the new equipment and all the new things that have had to be done. So, first of all, I want to say thank you, because I know it's no easy task.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. And, that's why I'm in ministry, is to serve and to do things. And one of the things that I've learned while I've been here is just, my background has a lot of unique little pieces. Some of them never connected together. And as more and more times comes on here at MVF, I keep seeing all of those pieces cohesing, right? Where I'm able to reach back in my back pocket and grab something and use it. And so it's just great. It's cool to watch how God kind of pulls all of us together at the right time for things.
Yeah. So of all the new things that you've got going on, what's been the most rewarding of these new endeavors?
I think the prayer nights are probably the most rewarding piece. It's kind of funny. I was in grad school. Somebody mentioned to me that they thought I had a radio voice, and that someday I'd be using my voice in ministry. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Sure. And it dawned on me a while back. Hey, totally
I'm on the radio.
I'm on the radio.
I'm on the radio.
So, but just it's been cool, and particularly the morph and the changes. Every week we're doing something a little different in the prayer nights. Different takes on music, and like this week we're having all you elders doing the prayers and stuff, and it's kind of neat seeing the body get more and more involved in them. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how we're going to grow, and of course in a week and a half or so we're going to do one with baptisms, and I don't know what that looks like yet. I got a week and a half to figure it out. So yeah.
Next Wednesday, Thursday?
Thursday, the 28th of May. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 7:00.
So Thursday morning, you'll figure it out.
Hopefully a little before then.
Yeah.
I need to be filling the tank by Thursday morning, so.
Yeah. So what maybe has been the most challenging?
Actually probably the most challenging for me is not per se ministry things. It's probably the same things that all of us are kind of doing, right? Is through this, God has revealed areas that I've needed to grow. And in particular, probably my family, the people I've had to be isolated with. There was a point where we were quarantined for 2 weeks because we thought one of our family members had been exposed, and so we were stuck together. And the challenge has been realizing my limits of patience and grace and loving kindness within my own family.
Yeah.
Right? You know, we're all pretty good at when we're around other people being nice and kind and everything, but sometimes our family gets the brunt of it. And so I've had some growth in that area, which has been evidently needed and just wasn't seen as much, right?
Yeah,
So,
it brought it out in you.
and I'm still growing. So if you
Yeah.
ask my family, they might give me maybe a B+ now, so I still got a little room to go. But,
Well, I was going to ask you if you've learned one thing personally in the middle of this.
and, you know, the one thing is those days that I've had a harder time, either mentally with the whole COVID thing and wrapping my head around it, or even things within my family or whatever, the days that have been the worst have been the days that I haven't had personal time with God. You know, you think of, you know, people say, oh, you're a pastor, you're always with God, you're always reading the Bible and stuff, and that's true, but it's work a lot
Yeah.
of times. And it's very, very easy to fall into, I open up the Bible in the morning to start reading, and I'm reading something and I switch into using it mode. You know,
Yeah.
using it because, hey, I know somebody who's been asking questions on this, or this could be helpful in the upcoming prayer night, or the text coming out, or there's a life group that's been asking about this, you know, whatever it may be. And there's a whole thing of when we use the Bible versus being changed by the Bible, right?
Yeah.
And the days that I haven't spent time in that transformative experience with God
Yeah.
and just being devoted to Him and listening and everything, that's the days that I screw up relationally, right?
Yeah.
And so that's really come out, is I got to be in the Word every day for my relationship with Him, and just forget about everything else for a while.
Yeah.
And then I can say amen and then open the Bible yet again, but that then back into work, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's hard. Everybody's routine is off, right?
yep.
I'm usually up between 5:30 and 6, and that's my personal time. And if I don't get that, I'm with you.
You're just off.
It's off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I noticed that it can go into multiples of days. Even if the next day is that day, that off builds.
Just kind of builds and
it
grows.
just keeps
Yep,
growing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until I have to do a hard reset, and almost shut down.
Sure.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but when this all started, I try to read through the Bible in a year and a half, and I kind of have a schedule for myself and whatever. So going into this, I was about 2 weeks ahead of schedule, and right now I'm about 3 weeks behind schedule. So that shows you how much I missed during this of really
Yeah.
spending my
Wow.
time, right? Some big gaps.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and it's not a new lesson. I mean, that's the unfortunate thing. I've learned this before, but it's in spades right now, so
So
we'll keep growing.
what's maybe one thing you want the church to learn during this time?
I think the biggest thing for me is I'm really wanting the church to be the church, right? And I know Don says that a lot in the messages, and that's a pretty easy phrase to say, but I think it's really about people seeing the needs around them and stepping in and doing whatever they can to help those needs.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the material resources, and I know not everybody can take care of their neighbors that way, but they probably can do pieces of it, or even just conversations. And again, we talked about mental health earlier. Mental health issues are going to grow.
Yeah.
They're growing now. We're just seeing the tip of the iceberg, and it's going to continue. Even if everything opened up right now, there's things that are going to be lasting and some echoes for a while. And I think that's where just building relationships with people authentically, not doing because we're telling you to do it, but doing it because you want to love on them, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what I'm hoping the church is going to learn and grow. Not just our church, but the big church.
The
right?
church, yeah.
The
When
church.
I say the church, if I'm talking about MVF, I'll say MVF. When I'm talking about
About the
church,
church,
I'm
it's the
talking
whole
about
thing.
globally,
Yeah.
the church.
And that's what
right?
I'm hoping that
Yeah.
happens out of this, right? That
Yeah.
people don't look back and say, hey, the Christian church did a good job of taking care of their own, and, you know, they were bystanders, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to, you know, it'd be great, you know, just to be thinking back and go, they responded, they stepped in, they did things.
How do you think MVF, and the church, but MVF can serve this community and grow together during and after this time?
I think the biggest thing we can do is building up relationships that point people to Jesus. Just always be as positive as we can. Be real. I mean, we're all going to have days that just suck, and we're going to deal with it. And it's okay to have those in front of people, but at the same time, show the hope that you have inside of you.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's going to make a huge impact in the lives of people around us. You know, because the biggest thing that people need is Jesus. And so if we can help in any way to kind of help them take a step towards that, that is going to be awesome. And that's what our community needs.
It's amazing. You don't know sometimes how much you need it until after you have it.
Yep, absolutely. And then you
Right.
look back and go, wow,
Man,
why was I doing this alone?
yeah, why was I so dark
Yeah,
for so long? And the freedom that you can experience early on, I think me, you, and Don, and we were talking in a room
yep.
week 1 or 2 of this, right?
It was pretty early.
It was pretty early in this thing, you know, and we've been blessed. If you just listen to Don's sermon on blessed, we have been blessed, right? Our family and in the midst of this and before this, and the freedom from worry that I was able to enter into this season with couldn't be without Jesus.
Well, it's supernatural, meaning
Yeah.
more than normal, right?
Yeah, more than you can.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah. So, Mike, I really appreciate all you do here.
Thank you.
I know the projects are not easy. I know the shotgun blast ideas, and we may try one this week, and you invest a lot of energy into one that maybe never even made
Never
the
even
floor,
makes it, yeah.
right? Never even made the
That's
floor.
normal.
And I know the amount of time that ministry takes, and so I want to say thank you for all that you do for MVF, for the community, and to show people how much they need Jesus.
Well, thank you.
So,
And thank you for jumping in and being an elder. I know
Oh.
you're in your beginning season here, and we're excited that you're on and a voice of reason to help as well. So,
voice of reason.
yeah, maybe.
Maybe. I got a voice.
Okay.
Discernment will decide reason or not over time.
You bet.
But no, I'm excited. I'm excited to do it. I'm excited to be a part. You know, it was a long struggle for me to get to decide if I wanted to accept the role of being an elder. That was
Yeah, it was a big step.
It was a big step. It was a lot of prayer and a lot of discussion, but I'm excited about it. And I think there's great things and you know, this time has not been in vain, and God's word has not returned void.
Absolutely.
And that's what the Bible says, that His word will never return void, and this time has not returned void.
Right.
And all of these efforts will not be in vain. So
Yeah,
thank
for
you.
sure. You bet. We'll break social distancing.
That's
I guess,
right.
but that's all right.
Yeah.
We'll go use the sanitizers that are all over the building. So.